Welcome to DiverGen.com. Today we're going to take a look at the keyboard case for the 2018 12.9-inch iPad Pro. This is Zagg's SlimBook Go. And you can see from here, it looks like a, well, you can tell from here, it is a keyboard that's detachable to a shell that actually seems like has a kickstand. Alright, so this is an interesting offering, a little bit different than Logitech's Folio style. And, well, we'll take a look and see what's in the box. Alright, so I haven't taken everything out of the box. We have here an instruction manual, looks like a little warning card, the keyboard, and then the shell itself. Alright, so let's take a look at the keyboard. The keyboard here is, it's a nice kind of a felt-like material on here, so it's a good, nice feeling material. The keys themselves are pretty sizable. They're a good size key. They're not square. They're slightly rounded, so it's kind of an interesting aesthetic for the keyboard. Alright, and up here you notice on the top here, there's little pegs. And these pegs are magnetic to clasp onto the shell. So we'll take a look at this more in depth once we charge it up. Now it is Bluetooth. It doesn't use the smart connector like the Apple keyboard. So it does use a battery, and that's actually where the charging port on the side is. On the lower right is a USB-C port for charging. Now this does not come with a cable, so I was expecting to hopefully have a cable, but they're going to rely on the fact that you have a USB-C cable that came with your iPad, so they did not provide one. Alright, so here's my iPad Pro, and this is the shell portion of the SlimBook Go, and so I'll put this in here. Now, it is a pretty rigid case, so the shell itself here doesn't have a whole lot of flex to it. So we're going to kind of finagle it in this way, kind of getting it to sit in this groove first, and kind of push everything else in. So kind of easier to kind of lay it down at the spot there, and then same thing here. All right, so now that it's kind of inside here, then let's kind of push this on top as well as here, and we're good. So it's in. All right, and I'll grab my pencil and put this in the spot right there. So there you go. So all set up. Let's take a look at how things are. So from the front side here, if you can look closely here, you'll see that there are these channels for where the speakers are on both sides here, so that the sound actually is then funneled towards you, as opposed to how normally the speakers are kind of just going blowing outwards. So it should deliver sound a little bit better. The spots on these two little nodules here are actually for the keyboard, I think, to help keep it in place. Then on this side, we have a nice opening here for the USB-C. And then on this end here, we have a nice large opening for where the pencil sits. So if I were to take the pencil out and get it out and then stick it to the back, and it has a nice spot for a nice opening so you can charge the pencil. We have here the volume buttons here, and they're fully covered, actually. So they're not like little slits or anything like that. They're actually fully covered. On the side here, the power button, same deal, it's fully covered. So it's got ample protection for that. And then the holes there for the microphone. On the back side here, we have an opening for the camera, flash, the microphone. The only thing I've noticed so far is that the Zagg makes the plastic Zagg uses tends to get scuffed up pretty easily. I already have some scratches here just from moving it around the table and getting this thing in here. So, you know, it's kind of worrisome that it's already scuffed up that way. All right, well, aside from that, looking at this thing here, this is the important part of the shell, and it's a kickstand. So if I pry this out, it's actually pretty tight, that it turns into a stand that you can actually prop the device out on, which is kind of cool. All right, so it's kind of a neat idea. It's a little hit or miss though in some ways, because the platform is at the bottom here, as opposed to a typical, say, Surface style, which has the bracket going this way. You can see it kind of tends to wobble. So if I'm tapping on this device, you know, it does tend to wobble before it settles. So it kind of depends if you care about that, but you know, that could be a consideration. It does seem to keep shallow angles relatively well, but it will, you know, after a certain point, it will fall in on itself. All right, let's take a look at the keyboard portion. Put the pencil back here. Let's grab my keyboard here now, and we will dock it in. So there you go. It clicks in, and now the keyboard is attached. And so you see there's a little groove here for the pencil, because the pencil does sit a little bit above the surface of the shell. And actually, if you look at from here, the shell actually does have a bit of a kind of a bevel here, so it allows for protection of the screen. So as opposed to the screen's not really touching any particular surface. So now the keyboard came out. Put that back in. All right. So there's a magnet that keeps it in place, and then we can kind of close it up. Now the cover is a nice it's a textured material, so it feels really nice. And then when you open it up, you can basically flip it open this way, and then open the keyboard up, and you're ready to go. All right, so I haven't paired this up yet, so I'm going to go pair this up with here, and let's take a look at how it functions with some apps. All right, so we're at a desk eye view, and so we'll go and pair the keyboard up now. Well, it's kind of cool, obviously, is this keyboard does come out, so I can basically just take this, yank this off, and then leave this here while we work on this part of it. So to turn it on, we'll hit the power button here, because the keyboard does not turn on automatically. There's no way for it to know when the device is activated. So you have to manually turn it on. All right. And the LED shows up green, which means it's on. Now, this keyboard does allow you to sync it up to 2 different devices. And interestingly enough, the buttons are over here for the syncing. It's kind of an odd choice because in some ways, a lot of the keyboards that are available have like the home button here over here. And so this is probably more used than these, which is kind of funny that they decided to put it in here. So, but it's where it is. And so we'll hit the 1 here. And I should hold it down so that it goes to pairing mode. And so they were in pairing mode, so the blue LED blinks. So now we'll go here, go to our settings, and we're in the Bluetooth area, and we automatically see a keyboard. And so we'll tap that to sync it up. And there it goes. It shows as a Zagg Slim Book Go. The LED stops blinking, and now we're ready to go. So we're all paired up. So yeah, let's take a look at what we can do with the keyboard. Now the keyboard itself has pretty large keys. They're actually very nicely sizable keys. They're not the tiny keys. They're a little roundish. They're not fully square. And so but they're amply sized keys. The top row here, obviously, we have the 1 and 2 for the 2 different devices you can pair with. We have the home, lock. We have running apps. We have the internationalization as well as the keyboard, and then we have media keys, and then the volume keys and the power button. And in the FN section here, the FN key over here, we have a under the control a battery meter. So if you hit FN and hit that, it's gonna glow different colors. It goes from blinking green, which means above 50%, to yellow, which is about 25%, and then red when it's below that. So, and then when you charge it up, it will basically blink red while charging until it's done, and the light will go off. Then there's backlighting. The keyboard is backlit, so we'll take a look at the backlighting in a little bit. There's some intensity here, so the FN with the down arrow is going to be an intensity for the backlighting, and then this actually has multiple different colors for backlighting, so you can hit the FN and the right arrow, and we'll cycle through the colors. So we'll take a look at that when it's a bit darker. When I turn the lights down, we'll see how the backlighting behaves. Let's go and do some typing now. So I'll hit Microsoft Word, and we'll do some typing. So it's got good feedback for the keys. It has a good travel distance. It feels comfortable to type on. Definitely no lag or anything like that. It actually performs quite nicely. So no complaints about the typing experience. The keys are sizable, so they're actually really comfortable, so not feeling cramped. So you have big fingers. I don't have big fingers, but if you have big fingers, you shouldn't have any problems using this keyboard. The interesting thing with this keyboard is that this felt material over here, it feels really comfortable to have your hands here. It acts as a nice little buffer, and it feels good to use. Now, I wonder how well it'll hold up in time, because if you use it a lot, it might rub and wear off maybe. But for now, it feels really good. So we'll see how well it lasts the test of time here. But so no complaints about the keyboard. It definitely feels good to use. So let's talk about turning it off. So actually, before that, we look at these keys here. This is the function key to bring the keyboard up, and then this is the international key. So these functions I couldn't test before because I didn't have anything to type on. Now we do. So you can use that to toggle between any other international keyboards aside from the emoji keyboard that comes on by default, and then you can show and hide the keyboard if you need to. So let's undock this real quick, and then take a look here, and then we turn it off now. So the caps lock does have a light, so that way you know the caps lock is on. And then to turn it off, you have to hold this down for about 3 seconds until the LED turns red, and now it's off. So, and Word knows that I have no keyboard, and the on-screen keyboard comes up. Let's turn it back on, hold the button down, and let go, and it turns green. Keyboard goes down, and now ready to begin typing again. Pairs up really quick, no issues there. Alright, so I turned down my lights so we can take a look at the backlighting. So with it turned off right now, there's nothing, so hit the FN down arrow to turn on a little bit of the illumination. And it's got 3 levels, so 2 and 3. And so it's kind of got a purple color right now, so you can use the function for colors. So you can FN the right arrow, and you can cycle through the colors. So you got a green, kind of white, that was like a yellowish white, then blue, dark blue, red, and then purple. So you can cycle them all and get a feel, choose something you like, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have some different customization for colors. So it's definitely kind of neat. The only thing is that the maximum brightness of the the backlighting isn't as bright as I'd like it to be. I would like to be a little bit brighter. The other problem I have with it is just that on this angle here, you see how much brighter the light bleed is from the keys as opposed to here. So it's like really bright here, but not quite through the keys as well as they could be. So, but you know what? It's better than nothing. So it's kind of nice that at least they have the option, and the color change option is pretty cool. So this is a very interesting view, having both of them side by side here. First thing that probably stands out to you is how much larger this actually is. Ironically, it's just much larger. It's really kind of funny how that works out. And it's because the case itself is about an inch taller, because there's a spot here for the pencil, which actually raises the tablet and actually just makes the tablet larger. The pencil holder on this one is just a little flap here that you can slip the pencil into, and then it kind of sits in the back and is out of the way. So obviously you have a much bigger footprint, because also the keyboard is docked at the very edge and Logitech kind of takes advantage of the extra space and just kind of parks itself in here. So it's kind of, you reduce the footprint because it goes in, as opposed to this one where it doesn't. So you have the entire length of the device. So you have the length of the kickstand over here, along with the actual keyboard. So it's a much more lengthy setup, which can be a problem if you're in a place like an airplane where you may not have this kind of lengthy space. Now, of course, the benefit with the Zagg is if you don't have the space, you can undock the keyboard, sit the device somewhere else, and work from it anywhere else you want, in your lap, in your partner's table, anywhere else is something you can use this on. So that's an interesting setup where basically this is just longer, but because it's detachable, it almost maybe mitigates the difference. Now, obviously, the other benefit is that this one has that little stand area where you can basically make it fit in different angles if you want to. So depending on a bit more comfortable viewing angles if you so desire. So it's an interesting design trade-off. And this kind of weird when it goes back in, but there it is. So that's an interesting look at these two side by side. So yeah, this actually ends up being a much more compact setup as opposed to this. But both are equally good, so you're gonna have to basically decide for yourself how, what scenarios you would envision using the device in. So the one last test I want to do with this guy is I want to see how well it works on my lap. Alright, so final test I want to do today is the lappable test, or lappability test. And so here's my tablet in the Zagg Slim Book Go. I'm going to open this up here and set this on my lap and see where this goes. Now, unfortunately, yeah, it's I got a bit of a belly in myself here, but even then, this still has quite a bit of length here. So if I put it out here, I have this thing leaning off the edge of my legs here, off my knees, and so it's not really going to be very good for using in a situation like this. It's just far too long to be used in a lap type situation. So unfortunately, yeah, not very lappable, at least not for me. If you're really tall, that might not be an issue, but For me, it's not going to work. So once again, the benefit is you can undock this, use it on your lap, put this somewhere else, on the floor or on some other surface that you can work with, and you can still use the keyboard. So that's one of the drawbacks of being so long, is not going to work too well on your lap. So here's an interesting use case for the stand on the shell. So if I were to open up this way, get all the way open, and then I flip it this way, and now it turns into a nice little easel for drawing. It's a pretty decent angle. So it's comfortable for use this way. So if I were to basically get my pencil out here and unlock it, and then pull up something like Sketchbook Pro, I can basically then have a good angle for drawing. And it's a pretty comfortable angle for that. So it's kind of a nice feature for this thing. So aside from standing it up for viewing media, you can actually have it in this easel mode, so you can actually use it to draw. But unfortunately, it doesn't have a spot to park the pencil aside from putting it back in here, so I can't like stick it in here and have it sticking up so I can easily get to it. I have to kind of park it back in here. But it is pretty nice to be able to have this kind of capability as well. And then of course, this spot here for the pencil for charging, you can still have it sit here and it won't get in the way. So yeah, it works really nice. So you can actually have it this way for viewing things as well as being able to draw. And there you have it, a look at Zagg's Slimbook Go. If you have any questions or things you want to see, feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel.